Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome to the Mixer, and one video in particular that I have been wanting to do for a very long time. It is a topic that fascinates me, you know, ever since I found out about it many years ago, and I've always flirted with the idea of creating a video here on my channel, but it's been tough because it's a very long and detailed topic to cover, you know, and I have been trying to put together kind of like a script of sorts, let's say, you know, although all my videos are pretty much unscripted, but basically trying to put in a little bit more research into it, you know, and try to see if I can come up with something really good for you guys. And I think I have finally figured out the formula today, okay? So today I'm going to be talking about the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. Pretty sure you guys know what this is. It's also known as the Devil's Triangle, and it is a region in the North Atlantic Ocean that is very well known for the disappearance of many aircraft and many aircraft and ships, you know, in the water. So it has been surrounded by mystery for many years, and it's always been very interesting because there's never been any rational explanation for why so many things disappear there, you know. It's almost like they just want to. They just go there and they vanish into thin air. Nobody ever hears from them again. Now, of course, everything in the world does have some kind of scientific explanation if you stop to think about it, but some things do kind of delve more into the paranormality, and it really depends on how much of a skeptical person you are, if you believe in these things or not, you know. Me, I'm pretty sure you guys know that I have to see it to believe it. That's just how it works with me. But today's topic is something that I really like to entertain the idea behind, you know, that there really could be something else there that we're not really noticing. Now, the Bermuda Triangle has been in the media for many decades, and it's actually, it has recently been sort of, not exactly disproven, but they have kind of like dispelled the idea that there might be anything supernatural going on there, you know. Countless documentaries that I have watched over the years and articles that I have read have kind of made me believe that it's not as mysterious as I once thought it was, but it is still very interesting and you really can't deny it. So today, let's talk about the Bermuda Triangle. Now, the very first thing that I want you guys to see is there is one kind of a little diagram here of where the triangle is located. As you guys can see here, it is literally a triangle formation between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico next to the Gulf of Mexico. This is the Bermuda Triangle right here in real life, you know, the actual geographical location. I don't know if you guys can see it. Okay, so this right, and it's close to the Caribbean Sea, you know, it's a literal triangle formation. It's a little patch of water there. And the thing is that the disappearances are very unusual, you know, because like ships, they go into that region, you know, to pass through it, or airplanes fly above, and they just mysteriously vanish without a trace, you know. And sometimes they run expeditions into the seabed to see if they can find any wrecks, and they just don't find anything. It's almost like they literally just vanish, you know. And the thing is that I have so much stuff here for you guys, so many things that I isolated here, and I'm really excited to read about it, you know. Now, the thing is that some people, they give different, they give different variations about the surface area of the actual triangle itself, the area which it's contained in. And now, basically, the total area varies from anywhere from 1,300,000 to 3,900, so the surface area varies anywhere from 1,300,000 kilometers from the low end all the way to 3,900,000 on the high end in a kilometer squared, which roughly translates to 500,000 to 1,510,000 square miles if you're into that kind of thing, you know. And some people say that it stretches even as far as the Irish coast, you know. But anyway, the determination of which accidents occurred within the actual triangle depends on who wrote the story, you know, the article. And there are a lot of criticism directed towards the concept of the triangle actually having some kind of supernatural energy attached to it, you know. And Larry Koshy, who's actually the author of a book back in '75, he actually concluded a few interesting things. Like, for example, the number of ships and aircraft reported missing in the area was not significantly greater, proportionally speaking, than any other part of the ocean. So what he's saying is that ships do disappear in this area, but it's not like there are more ships disappearing here than in any other parts of the water around it, you know. So it's not anything special in that sense. And even it's an area within an area frequented by a lot of hurricanes, you know, cyclones. So the number of disappearances that actually did occur there were, for the most part, unlikely, or they just weren't even mysterious at all. They just happened naturally, you know, because of hurricanes and storms. And other writers would actually fail to mention such storms or even represent the disappearance as having happened in calm conditions, you know? Oh yeah, and also, it seems like the actual numbers themselves of the disappearances were exaggerated by very sloppy and lazy research, you know? So a boat's disappearance, for example, it would be reported, but its eventual return to port might not have been. So for example, something that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle but was later found elsewhere, they are not going to report that it was found elsewhere. They're just going to isolate the part where it was completely, where it just disappeared completely, you know? So everyone's gonna think, so it just disappeared without a trace, but they failed to tell you that it was actually found the next day somewhere else, you know? So that's a little suspicious in and out of itself. And some disappearances actually never even happened, which is the saddest part about this whole thing. See, for example, there was one plane crash that happened in 1937 in Daytona Beach, Florida. And then it actually happened in front of hundreds of people who actually saw it crashing, and then a check of the local papers actually revealed nothing. So everybody saw it crashing, but then for some reason the news outlets reported it as being in the Bermuda Triangle for some reason. And then the legend of the actual triangle itself, it's actually perpetuated by writers who pretty much purposely or unknowingly made use of misconceptions, faulty reasoning, and sensationalism, okay? And it's actually very funny because in 2013 there was this study, right, by the Worldwide Fund for Nature. This is actually really funny. It was identified that the world's 10 most dangerous waters for shipping, you know, the top 10 most dangerous waters in the ocean, the Bermuda Triangle wasn't even among them, you know, so that's actually really sad. And there are a few hypothetical explanations too, because before we get into the actual disappearances, noteworthy, I'm going to talk about the explanations here, just a little bit of tidbit here. There are paranormal explanations, you know, so like they start blaming aliens and UFOs and things like that, you know, or these damn motorcycle assholes outside my window who I wish would disappear in the triangle. So you could say that maybe the waters are haunted, there's ghostly activity there, supernatural entities, or just natural explanations, you know, like hurricanes and whirlpools, you know, tidal waves, tsunamis, a lot of dangerous stormy weather that might just capsize vessels or even make planes crash into them, and then it's the waves are gonna take them somewhere else away from the triangle, so then you don't actually find the wreck inside the triangle. So that might actually make people try to interpret this as the triangle consuming all of these vehicles completely, you know, these aircraft and these ships, you know. So then there's also, you know, compasses going haywire and sending aircraft and ships elsewhere, and that's when they disappear. The Gulf Stream with its really strong current, human error, you know, people who actually go somewhere else, you know, they make a mistake and they go here and there. It's very common. It's a very common thing, you know, unfortunately, because people make mistakes, you know. They might navigate somewhere else, and that's going to make people think that it was the triangle who completely made them disappear. So there are many different factors here, but I think the most common one, the most believable one, is violent weather, you know. The weather can get really, really rough. It can get really, really freaking rough, guys, you know. And I mean, we're talking about the ocean. Anything can happen there. Anything can and will happen, and inside the Bermuda Triangle, it's just more of a coincidence, in my opinion. Now, there have been many disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle since its history, since it was discovered way back in the day, you know. There have been many different incidents. I'm gonna read some notable ones for you guys here right now, starting with the USS Cyclops, okay? Now, this actually resulted in the largest loss of life in the history of the US Navy, and it was tied directly to the triangle, so a little bit of the controversy surrounding it there. It wasn't even related to combat. But anyway, so basically it was in 1918, it was on March 4th, 1918, after departing the island of Barbados, and even though there is no strong evidence for any single theory, many independent theories exist, of course, but basically what it's trying to say is that it disappeared completely inside a triangle. Could have been a storm that capsized it, you know, and just killed everybody on board, and then it might have been maybe some wartime enemy activity, but what they're trying to say is that it did disappear during World War II back in the day. No, wait, sorry. It was lost later in World War II, but it's not related to this. So basically it was a really huge ship that disappeared completely within the triangle, and then it was like it was the first recorded case of something disappearing within it, you know, and at the time it was just, okay, so it disappeared in this place called the Bermuda Triangle, so it's a total coincidence. But then a few years later, in 1921, something else happened. The Carol A. Deering, which was actually a schooner, you know, there's actually a photo of her here. It's actually really, really cool. It's, man, this is awesome. I really like looking at these old-timey photos, man. It's really cool. I'm going to try to show it to you guys here. This was the schooner that disappeared in a triangle, a very small photo. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see it. This was the schooner, the photo taken back in 1921, you know. Little private schooner there. It's really cool looking at these really old photos. I love photography, man. So then it actually disappeared. It seems like 2 days before she was found deserted in North Carolina, right? So it was found hard aground and abandoned at near North Carolina on 1921. And then according to the investigation, it was completely ruled out the theories how it was probably abandoned, maybe piracy, domestic sabotage, involvement of rum runners. But the point is that whatever happened to it, whatever made the crew abandon it, happened inside the Bermuda Triangle. And then we get to the most famous case, which is Flight 19, which actually happened in 1945. So a training flight of 5 TBM Vendor torpedo bombers disappeared while over the Atlantic, you know, and there were a few communication errors, you know. One of them was actually communicating with the communications tower, and then it said that the compass was going haywire and that he was reporting being somewhere else where he actually wasn't, you know. And then they were just going on a little flight training regimen, and then they tried really hard to try to keep communication with the tower, but they just completely vanished. You know, there was no more communication, and apparently they were running out of fuel, and then they never returned to base. Okay, now the thing with this is that there are a few key factors here for you to take into consideration, like the I forgot the guy's name, but the main I do believe the captain, his name was, the sergeant, whatever his name was, the highest position there, he was a very experienced pilot, but in general the ones around him weren't, you know. They were very new to what they were doing, and they were flying very old aircraft, you know, so it was very normal for them to have a few malfunctions here and there. That's why the compasses weren't working, and apparently the actual leader of the group was kind of hungover from the day before, so he wasn't exactly well prepared for the flight. So there were a lot of other factors there that explain away how this entire flight team could have disappeared, you know. So it's really more tailored to human errors than actual paranormality within the triangle, but it is still mysterious how they have never been found, you know. I do understand that the ocean is a very big place and they could have gotten lost anywhere there and just sunk, you know, but we would have never found them, because there is still the matter of there are many ships and aircraft that may have disappeared in or near the triangle that may have run aground, and we will never find them because the ocean is huge, guys. It's a very large surface area to explore, so we will never find the wreckage of these things, you know. But still, I mean, they did try. They really tried hard and they never found it. So you guys can look this up later. It's actually a really interesting thing. And then, oh yeah, also there was a PBM Mariner, you know, it was actually a search and rescue aircraft that went to look for them with a 13-man crew, which also disappeared inexplicably. So it starts to get a little suspicious, you know, but hey, it could just be bad weather. Then in 1948, there was the Star Tiger and the Star Ariel, you know, and both of them completely disappeared on their flights. Also another one was in 48, the other was in 1949, so they also had passengers as well. And they were operating at the very limits of their range, and the slightest error or fault in the equipment could keep them from reaching the small island that they were going for. Then in 48, there was the Douglas DC-3. It was an aircraft number NC-1. Okay, now forget the numbers. It disappeared while it was on a flight from Puerto Rico to Miami with no trace of the aircraft or the 32 people on board ever being found. So it is getting a little suspicious. Then there was the Connemara 4, which was a pleasure yacht that disappeared in 1955. You know, but this one here, it's weird because the crew vanished while the yacht survived being at sea during 3 freaking hurricanes, and the hurricane season back in that year showed that Hurricane Ione was passing nearby between September 14th and 18th, so, you know, the triangle might have been affected by winds of almost gale force, so it does make sense that this could have happened, so maybe this could just be attributed to bad weather. Then in 1963, there was the KC-135 Stratotankers, you know, it was a US Air Force Stratotanker aircraft which collided and crashed into the Atlantic 300 miles west of Bermuda, so it wasn't even in the triangle, it was actually near it. So the people do say that while the two aircraft did collide, there were a few distinct crash sites separated by over 160 miles of water, so it's not really too close to the triangle, you know. But anyway, those were some of the more notable incidents revolving the triangle, and now I'm going to try to give a little bit of my personal intake about it. You see, guys, when it comes to things like the Bermuda Triangle, it's really hard to actually formulate something based on fact, you know? No matter what you say about the triangle, no matter what opinion you have, it is going to still be your opinion, you know? I mean, yes, there are professionals, there are writers and scientists and theorists who actually come up with very varied claims about what could be behind a triangle, but at the end of the day, it's all about theory. Everybody has their own theories about what goes on inside this place, you know? And even though it's very interesting to look up, you know, At the same time, it's really, I don't know, because the ocean is a very mysterious place, but oceanographers, people who actually study this for a living, they can actually come up with very solidified theories about what actually happens in a place like this, you know? With me, like I have said before, I do enjoy entertaining the possibility of paranormality and the supernatural being involved in things like this, you know, but at the end of the day, I think it's really just down to violent weather, you know? The ocean is a very scary and unpredictable place. Sometimes you'll be sailing in smooth waters and clear skies, and all of a sudden a huge storm blows in with tidal waves, you know, and whirlpools, and maybe even a hurricane, a cyclone. So you never know what's gonna happen in the ocean. It's a very scary place. So my take on this is that it's pretty much just nature running its course, you know? I do believe that many things do disappear in the triangle, but I think it's just a coincidence because, as I said earlier, I mean, there are no more disappearances in the triangle than in other areas around it, you know, and like I mentioned earlier, it's not even listed as one of the top 10 most dangerous places in the ocean, you know. So I think that it's more about people wanting there to be something mysterious. So we create so many theories and talk about UFOs and this and that and a whole bunch of crap just to try to maybe have a viable explanation there. And with me, it's just, I'm a skeptical person. I have to see it to believe it, you know, and I am actually really curious to know what you guys are going to say about this, you know. So shout out in the comments below letting me know what you think about the triangle itself and what your personal theories are. And if you subscribe to the whole alien conspiracy thingies, thingamajigababa, with all that stuff there, you know. But with me, it's just a matter of nature. It's just Mother Nature, you know, or Poseidon, whoever you want to believe is in charge of the oceans there, just running its course, all right? So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was really fun to finally get into this. You know, I had a little cheat sheet here and put in a little bit of research, and you guys can go watch some other videos too later. There's a really cool channel that I discovered recently called The Infographics, so I'm going to leave a link to them up here where they also talk about the Bermuda Triangle and stuff. It's really cool, you know, very good channel, very informative and educational, and it has been giving me a lot of inspiration for the videos that I've been recording lately. So yeah. And if you guys happen to like this video, then please give it a like and subscribe to my channel because I release videos literally every single day, you know, and hit the notification bell to know exactly what time of the day I'm going to be uploading because I do that at random. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.